Our Historical Society started in 1983, following a Birchip Town centenary in 1982, when we realised there was a lot of history being kept around the place, and so a meeting was called by the Shire Council of Birchip at that particular time to set up an historical society. I've been here for 50 years come next February, so I've become very involved with Birchip history. It's been quite a joy and a pleasure to preserve so much of Birchip history around. We try to encourage people to donate or lend articles, because if that article is lost, part of their family history has gone by the wayside.
I first became interested in the Historical Society when it was first formed in Birchip, and at that time I was interested in doing a family history, family tree of the ancestors when they first selected land north of Birchip, northwest of Birchip, and I soon realised what valuable items were out on farms and in homes, even in the town, or out at the tip. It's just the history of the district and the people of the district that's I'm really involved with it in that aspect.
Elaine, our archivist, has school groups here, and one of their visits is to the museum where they have a hands-on experience, and they go away with a lot of knowledge of how early Australians developed the area and the type of things that they used. As people go through cupboards, and they're amazed sometimes at what they find. And this is a bar of homemade soap made by a lady who was in Birchip many years ago. Even homemade pegs, and over there is a skirt hanger or a trouser hanger. In this room I'm surrounded by all the kitchen paraphernalia that was used in the bygone days. We have from the milk was the cream made into the butter and put together with the butter pats. I remember helping my mother do the washing in a tub the same as this type when I was about 6 years of age. This is the baby Melbourne Cup, which was presented to the township of Birchip because in 1948 a former Birchip person called Ray Neville won the 1948 Melbourne Cup on rimfire.
And I've always been a bit of a squirrel, never throw anything out, and hence the interest in historical societies. I realised the value of keeping all this memorabilia for future generations. When Dad died in 1964, we regretted that we never asked him a lot of his experiences. He won the DCM in the First World War. I enlisted from Ballarat. Firstly did 6 months in the army and then transferred to the Air Force and Air Crew, and did my service in England, flying over Europe, 33 missions. We realised that we should tell the kids of our experience, and that's got them interested. And we've both been asked to speak on several occasions to other functions. We find there's more interest in servicemen now than there was a few years ago. September, after the armistice was declared in Europe, I married my dear wife. There's a photo of us there.
I've had a lot of pleasure of getting photos of First World War diggers, Second World War diggers, live, or the ones that paid the supreme sacrifice, and getting their photos and their history put out in our RSL room up the front there. And I hope that's going to be there for many, many, many years to come. We're here in the RSL room now, and When it was first, this room was given to the RSL, there was nothing in it, and we just had to really start from scratch. So I decided to get a photo of each one that I could. The First World War was my Uncle Jack up the top there. That's the two uncles that went from out there to the First War. My brother and myself went off the same property to the Second World War. It started a lot of things. And people have started to bring items in that they found at home, letters from their relatives who didn't return and that type of thing.
It's very rewarding working here, doing research for people, linking them up with lost family members, as well as preserving and conserving the local history, because the history of a family is the history of a town, and the town's history is part of Victoria's history, which is also part of Australian history.